Good evening, everyone. We're delighted to have you with us tonight for this very important session on LinkedIn. We are delighted tonight to have a cadre of experts to talk to us about LinkedIn and give us some, as they say, tips and tricks on how to make it work for you, because LinkedIn is important to all of us, no matter whether we're doing it for business or to connect. So AWC, let me tell you just a little bit about us. AWC is the Detroit chapter of, we are the Detroit chapter of a national organization that's been around for about 130 some odd years. The Detroit chapter is 80 plus years old. We are dedicated to sharing the benefits and the joys of communication. Our members are a multidisciplinary bunch. We've got folks who are in PR, journalism, corporate communications, sales, marketing, you name it. If it's got to do with communications, we've got members that represent that niche. So you can see that we've done some advocacy in the past. We are, part of our charter is to support literacy in all its fashions.
Where your work phone is here? I plugged it back in. Right?
No, I had it in the power strip.
Can whoever is got some noise going on in the background, can you mute yourself? Thanks. So anyway, we've got a lot going on, as always. Our membership is one of the largest in the country, and we are welcoming new members all the time into the chapter. Tonight, we would like very much to thank LTU and specifically Jody, who brought together this great group of speakers and has been extremely instrumental in helping Cindy to put together this wonderful program for you all tonight. Cindy Orlandi, our membership ambassador, is actually, she's former membership ambassador. Now she's focused on our student initiatives. And Cindy was the catalyst to put this thing together tonight. And we want to thank her for her tireless efforts on behalf of our student body and the students in our communities. She and Jody have spent a lot of time putting this together. And so especially big time thanks to both of them. And especially thanking our sponsors, our Crane Communications, Catalyst Media Factory, Downtown Berkeley, Memory Health, Detroit Aesthetics Company, and one more time, LTU, just big time thanks. So I would love to invite you to follow us on LinkedIn. In the chat, you will see our company page for LinkedIn. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Jody Gaber and let her introduce herself and the speakers, and we take it away.
Thank you.
So hi, everyone. Welcome to LinkedIn Tips and Tricks to improve your digital brand. So I am Jody Gaber. I'm the director of the Media Communication Program at Lawrence Tech. I'm so happy to be hosting this. I just want to share that we're all ages and stages of our careers, but we can all agree that LinkedIn is a very powerful tool to help us launch our career and manage our career. We're going to have presenters tonight who are going to present from a bird's eye view and from a more granular level, so you can make some immediate improvements in your digital brand. So I want to let you know, we're going to have our presenters share information and then we'll answer questions. So please jot down your thoughts. We'll have Q&A. Also, we can help you with questions for those of you who want to stay after 8:30 for networking and to hang out, and we can address some of your questions then too. So each presenter will introduce themselves before they begin, and we'll start with Jim Ritz from Lawrence Tech, and he'll tell you all about himself, and he will be giving you an overview.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today, and thanks for joining us. So 25 years of executive recruiting experience. I've been with Lawrence Tech in the career services department for just about a year now. So I bring a little bit different viewpoints and experiences with me than probably the typical career services individual in higher ed. One of the tools that I used throughout my career as a recruiter is certainly LinkedIn. So I'm the bird's eye view guy. Glenn and McKenna are going to get down a little bit more granular for you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Where is it? All right. What's going on? Let's try it again here. What am I doing wrong, guys? Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see your screen. There you go.
Okay, there it is. It was
All
weird.
right.
It was blank on my end. Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh.
So why use LinkedIn? Probably because every company that any of us can think about is on there and uses it every single day to look for both active and passive candidates. For the student, currently there's about 78,000 internships and jobs specifically targeted for students or first year grads coming out of college. So it's a tremendous tool. Yes, it's social media, but it's really business, corporate America social media. As I said, recruiters use it every single day. It's something that I guess probably for the last 15 years, 20 years, I've opened up every single day. It's one of the first things I open up in the morning. I go to it for news, for updates, to connect with people, to see what's new within my network. Passive candidate versus active candidate. Passive candidate on LinkedIn really just means you're not necessarily out there actively looking for a new job, but you'll entertain the phone call. You'll entertain the invitation to connect with someone, and that can open doors for you that, quite honestly, you're going to hear about later. Sample job titles, you name it, it's on there. Matter of fact, I went on today and looked under chicken farmer, and I found an opportunity on there. You wanted to be a chicken farmer. So you name it, it's there. That's all you have to do is be willing to go out and look. I think a little over 16 million jobs on LinkedIn earlier today when I looked. So plenty of opportunities out there. You just need to take the time to look and explore and use the filters that are there available for you. So you can look at it as an online resume, but not necessarily just cut and paste your resume. Take information from your resume and use it on LinkedIn as kind of a profile, as kind of your digital touch with the world out there for people that you know and people that you don't know. Let it be that powerful tool for you out there that just about everybody can see. Jacob Vesey graduated this past spring, used LinkedIn effectively to connect with some folks at Ernst & Young who he didn't know. They happened to be looking for someone. Although Jacob was based here in Michigan at Lawrence Tech, his dream was to go back to Florida where he was from. He targeted Miami. It all just came together. He's got just an absolutely phenomenal job with the consultant development program at Ernst & Young. Continues to keep in touch with us, and it just a great young man. Used it very effectively. I had met with him probably in February of March of last year. We tweaked a couple things on his resume, and then we turned and looked at what we use here at LTU Handshake, and then also at LinkedIn, kind of made sure they all tied together so people could connect the dots depending on what they were looking at. And lo and behold, Ernst & Young picked up the phone, actually reached out to him on LinkedIn. They connected, and a few hours of conversations and interviews, and he was on his way to Miami, thrilled to be going. He not only listed his experiences, but he listed his education very succinctly. Came down to volunteerism work. What I find with a lot of students here at LTU is if they don't have that internship experience, they tend to overlook what that volunteerism work experience may do for them and add to their overall experiences. Sometimes employers just want to know that, that young college student has interfaced with diverse groups of people, or is able to work individually as well as in a group setting. And you never know when your work, when your volunteerism and your other outside interests are going to connect with someone that you are going to be interviewing with, or someone that just happens to look at your profile on LinkedIn. So nothing wrong with adding your outside interests as well, and definitely add your volunteerism work. As so far as the ability to follow organizations, I wish I knew how many organizations there were out there that we could all choose to follow, but rest assured, there are hundreds of thousands of them. Feel free to do that because you get updates about what they may be looking for, maybe what a new product is, what their new launch date is. I know Rivian, the electric car company that just went public yesterday, had something out there to let everybody know today's kind of launch date for their IPO. So pick and choose those organizations and even those individuals that you want to follow, and you can do that on your own LinkedIn page. So your headshot, certainly your headshot is very important. You want to make sure you try not to take a selfie. You want to try and make sure you smile. You wear something that's appropriate for the position that you want, not necessarily where you are in your life right now. That's not to say overdress, but certainly you don't want to underdress. Maybe not the most appropriate photo, but you know what? We all got to have a good laugh every once in a while. So I decided to include this one. Not one you want to have on there. This one is certainly much more appropriate. I like that one as well. Probably a good photo if you're in fashion or design. Definitely professional. Probably crossing the line a little bit. Probably not the selfie that you want on your LinkedIn profile. Great picture there. So I think you get about 13 times more clicks on your LinkedIn profile when you have a picture versus when you don't have a picture. So don't be afraid to add one. Absolutely. Everybody on here would highly suggest that you do have one on there. So take the time, have somebody take your picture. You can take it with your phone. That's fine. Doesn't have to be a professional photographer, but just make sure that it's a good quality photo. So one of the sections on your LinkedIn page is the headline. Tell people what you're excited about. Tell them maybe maybe a cool thing you're doing or a special skill set you have. Make the headline engaging so they want to keep reading. LinkedIn is a lot like your resume. The only thing your resume is supposed to do for you is be an introduction and get the reader to stop and say, I need to read farther and I want to talk to this person. Your LinkedIn profile is really designed to do the same thing. So make sure you have something up there that's going to highlight what you do, how you do it. And again, a little later on, Glenn and McKenna are going to give you some specific suggestions there. Summary is about, what your experiences are, what your background is. Let it convey not only what you've done, but what you want to do. So it contains some key phrases, some relevant information on the industry that you're interested in, and what you've also done. Summary tips. Never leave the summary section blank. Take the opportunity to tell a little story about yourself, maybe a success, break it up with some headers. Consider providing some contact information. They've got to know how to get a hold of you. So maybe you don't want to give your cell phone, and I understand that, but you still want to give them some type of contact information so they can reach out and get a hold of you and see if you may be interested in an opportunity, see if you may know someone who may be interested in an opportunity. Just a summary sample, pretty brief, to the point, but if it's a college student out there looking for a job, it takes credit for what they know. And unfortunately, what I find many students do is they, in their own kind of backdoor way, they don't even realize it. They apologize for what they don't know. Take credit for what you do know. And certainly LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to take credit for what you do know. Experience in education. Bullet points, really just like your resume. Make sure you highlight the responsibilities. If you've worked on a project and you've used certain software, make sure when you talk about that project, tie it up in a nice, neat bow and tell them what you use. Don't assume they know what software maybe you've used for that project. If you worked in a group, let them know you worked in a group. If you can quantify something, make sure you quantify something. On a resume and too many times on LinkedIn, there's a lot of words. Anytime you can quantify something with a number, that number is going to jump out at the person and it's going to cause them to stop, even if it's just for a second. Again, how do I get the person to stop to spend just a little bit more time on my background or my resume or my LinkedIn profile? For an education, you know what? I would tell you, for the most part, high school information is irrelevant. And I would suggest that you don't have it on there. That's not a hard and fast rule, but I believe it probably shouldn't be on there. Being an all-star, this just share some of the tools, and as you use those tools and the more complete your page is, this just shows you that you're going to be seen more. They rank you beginner, intermediate, all-star. So complete it. Set yourself apart. Do you speak a different language? What software languages do you know and are you comfortable with? Your volunteer work, your experiences, your organizations, other things you may be involved in. You never know what might connect with that person that's reading that profile. So don't be shy on, again, sharing what some of your experiences are and maybe even what some of your hobbies are as well. Connect with others. I was told about a year ago when I first started in this position with LTU, don't ever use the word network. It's kind of a bad word with students. And I just kind of laughed and said, well, they need to get used to it because I'm going to use it a lot. That's what life's about. It's about networking. And that's really what LinkedIn is for. It's really about reaching out and networking with people that you know, and even more importantly, probably people that you don't know, because that's how you expand those possibilities throughout your life, whether you're 20 something coming out of college or whether you're 60 looking for your next job. You can, excuse me, just go online, look to see who's there. Going back to Jacob Vesey that I mentioned earlier, Jacob, in our meeting, I said, so how many times have you just reached out to somebody that you didn't know, but you looked them up, you saw where they were located, you looked at their title and said, you know what, maybe that's a person I could go work for. I'm just going to reach out to them and say, here's my name, here's where I'm at in my life, here's my educational background, and here's what I'm looking for. And that takes 30 seconds to put that together. You push send. The worst they can do is not respond. Who cares? What they can do though is go, you know what? I just got out of a meeting. I need somebody like that. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to connect with him and see if he's interested in going to Miami. And in his case, he was definitely interested in going to Miami. You can join up to 50 groups. It's a great way to build credibility. It opens up your network bigger than what you ever could have imagined automatically, just by joining a group. You get engaged in discussions, you can repost those. There's just all kind of great things that come from joining groups. So don't limit yourself thinking that, oh, maybe I should only join 2 or 3 groups or only follow 2 or 3 people for that matter. Just example of groups that you can join. Use LinkedIn to your advantage. Network, network, network. I don't think that can be said enough times. It's really, we do it our whole life. And most of the time we don't even realize we're doing it. We just met somebody and that's another extension of your network. And it happens probably every day of our life and we don't even know it. So popular recruitment tool, absolutely, for sure. It creates a professional presence. It allows you to expand your network. It allows you to be a little bit unique. How do you set yourself apart and aside from all the other people out there? But you have to be proactive. So be proactive, expand your network. Use LinkedIn as just a very, very important tool as you go forward in your career. Quite honestly, whether you're going forward in your career or you're retired, it's still a wonderful tool to stay connected with a lot of people. That's all I got. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful overview. So now we're gonna get more detail. And I'm gonna have Glenn Moore and McKenna Strunk introduce yourselves because you're gonna kind of tag team, right?
Yep.
And they're gonna take you into some more specific tools to do some of the things that Jim was talking about. So you know where to go and you'll have some real tips and tricks.
All right. McKenna, why don't you lead us off with your intro?
Yeah, so hi, I'm McKenna Strunk. I graduated from LTU in December of 2018. And I have worked at Campbell Ewald as in the media department. I worked at Publicis Collective on the Jeep team in the media department, and I am currently at Influential on their content and influencer marketing team.
All right. And listening to McKenna, you probably think, well, she's been in the industry about 10, 15 years. No, very few years, just out of LTU. The reason she's here today is she is what I like to call a LinkedIn ninja. And you're going to hear all these great examples of how she's used it to do all these great career jumps and career moves. And not just that, but the networking that she's done. So my name is Glenn Moore, and I am an adjunct professor at Lawrence for about going on my 4th year now. And when I'm not doing that, I teach a social media class, of which LinkedIn is a big part of it because it's such an important tool, both for a person, which we're talking about today, but it's also important if you're doing marketing for a business. Businesses use LinkedIn to brand themselves. So when I'm not at Lawrence, I work now at United Road. It's the largest car transport company in the United States. So when you drive on the highways and see all those cars going to dealerships on those trailers, I do the marketing for that company. So without further ado, I'll jump in and McKenna and I are going to kind of tag team this. Okay, so Jim talked a little bit about the profile, LinkedIn profile versus the resume. And I like to really reinforce that a little bit here. So the resume is that succinct statement of facts. It's essential, you need it, it's the starting point. Whereas a profile, it touches on the facts, but it paints that fuller picture of what makes you unique. You can't do that in a pure statement of fact like a short resume. So kind of to illustrate the difference, let's think about when your car breaks down, like mine recently did a couple weeks ago, and you need to find a place to fix it. So like most of us, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go on Google, repair places near me, and you're going to get the basic facts you need. There's 4 places near my house. They have convenient service hours. They have certified technicians. They fix whatever's broken on my car. But now you got to pick one. There's 4. How do I pick one? I go to their website. And I'm going to start to get richer information on their website. I'm going to see that there's a place that really stands out for their commitment to customer satisfaction. They have reviews from satisfied customers. It's owned by a minority-owned business that's 3rd generation. Has pictures of smiling employees, pictures of a clean waiting room. There's a blog about car care, so it seems like they're passionate about what they do. And the regional director belongs to Toys for Tots or is affiliated with that. So I feel good about that. I learned more. Just the basic facts of a good car care company wasn't enough, but think of that website experience as what you can do with your LinkedIn profile. It's like building a personal website for yourself that's going to augment and really brand yourself, personal branding, more than a resume can. So we'll talk about some of the differences technically, but it's a very human thing, the LinkedIn profile. You're talking about yourself as a person. You have to talk about your whys. Why do you, not just what you've done, but why did you do it? What drives you? That needs to come out, and you have the breathing room in a LinkedIn profile to have that information come out, because employers, they not want to know just what you know. They want to know how you're going to learn and what drives you, and that you're going to be hungry to succeed. So any clues that they get from both your resume and your LinkedIn profile helps them decide whether to hire you or not. Some of the things that make it different is when you're doing a LinkedIn profile, you write in the first person. I did this, I did that. Whereas you're taught in a resume, you don't do that. LinkedIn can be very broad. So you're taught to be very targeted on a resume. So you can do kind of your aspirations come out in a LinkedIn profile, not just your specific interest in one particular job, but your broader aspirations as a professional. So all that is possible, and it's part of your brand. You're not defined by what you currently do right now, unless you have the perfect job. You have aspirations beyond that, and especially if you're a young professional. So now we're gonna get into some other tips there. Anything you want to add on this before I go to the next one, McKenna?
I would just say that you can always link your resume to your LinkedIn, and that's where you can get all like Glenn said, the quick facts, all that stuff. But what they're actually going to look at in your LinkedIn profile is what makes you, your personality. So definitely follow the tips and tricks that Glenn said, because they can get to your resume on your LinkedIn. You don't need to reiterate it in the bullet points.
Good point. Okay, so let's get into some actual tips here. So we showed some of the photos, we talked about that. These are actual Lawrence Tech students, recent grads, just to show those really good photos. Smiles are so important. That's a part of a personality. People like people who smile. Even if you're not a good smiler, take about 50 million takes till you get one that gets you smiling. Do not have a clenched mouth. It's best to have a smiling face because it shows what kind of person you are. And as Jim said, you match your industry's dress code. So you know, if you're going for a tech position, you don't need a suit and tie. You know, they're very casual. But dress, as Jim said, for the position that you want to get. And I like the close-in shots that show, because as you see on these LinkedIns, the picture gets very small. So kind of the full body shots, while they look good if they're close enough, they're you can't really see the face on a full body shot. So I would do, you know, like half a torso, or like what Izzy does here. I like even the close up ones even better, just so they can see the face, see the emotion. McKenna, you have a great one. Any tips on the pictures?
Honestly, I think people get intimidated about taking like professional profile pictures. I set up a tripod against a blank white wall, and you just take them, click, 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 and then you'll eventually get one that works for you, and just don't feel intimidated by it. My boyfriend asks me all the time when he needs to switch his around, hey, grab a friend, take his picture against a blank white wall, brick wall. It doesn't have to be something that is intimidating or that you kind of like work yourself up over. Just make sure it genuinely, you know, it shows like your passion. Like Glenn said, dress for your, if you want to be a broadcaster, microphone in hand. It just helps people draw themselves into your profile.
Yep. Very good. Okay, the other thing that's important, and it's free, doesn't cost anything, is what's called this background image. So if you don't do one, LinkedIn has a default background, but if you go to the default, you miss an opportunity to say something about your personality, about your aspirations. So McKenna, why don't you I put yours up at the top there. Why don't you talk about your background graphic?
Yeah, so like Glenn said, there's a default image. It's just kind of a blue with some lines. It doesn't really invite people in. I personally didn't have any specific images that I wanted to showcase. So instead I went with one of my favorite quotes that I really try to live by in my professional career, which is work hard and working well with others achieves the best results. And it's just kind of a little snippet of, you know, if you're going to meet me or you're going to work with me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work hard for you, and I'm going to work well with my team to make sure that we get you the best results. And I'm not a professional graphic artist or anything. I just used canva.com, completely free and so easy. You just type in LinkedIn banner and they're going to give you hundreds of templates that you can choose from, and you can customize, change the colors, change the font, but it gives you a place to start, and it helps kind of just, it's the right size. It's just an easy way to really personalize your LinkedIn.
Yep, and it's important to use that. So you see how McKenna's head in her picture doesn't cover any of her words or anything. That's if you use those correct dimensions. You go to canva.com. You just say, I want to make a LinkedIn banner, and it's basically foolproof. It won't allow you to make something that's gonna, like when it looks on your iPhone, it's gonna look different. It's gonna size it. But you can see below McKenna, you have Dylan, who he's in the broadcast world. He found that great wallpaper picture. Creative people, you know, like Ashley down below, she put in a good background. So it's just a great way to say something about yourself. And it's very, very quick. You can get it done in 15 minutes, and you can change them up. So now we're going to talk about that headline, and that's one of my favorite ways to differentiate yourself. So this happens to be my profile, and I am always changing it, so I never think I have it right, but that's okay. You know, that's what profiles are for, evolving. So I have a little graphic here that I kind of made, just kind of talking about technical marketing and you know, marketing strategy. I don't know, kind of need to change that probably. But the headline is this thing down here. So the way LinkedIn works, if you don't make a headline, it puts the headline of your current job title. And so if I didn't take the time to put data-driven marketing executive, customer journey guide, lifelong learner, mentor, coffee aficionado. I wanted to say more about myself than what my current job is as VP of Marketing at United Road. And the reason is, you tell someone, as Jim said, they can look at that headline and say, oh, wait a second, I like coffee. There might be something in there that would customer journey guide. Yeah, I'm working on projects about marketing customer journeys, data driven. You know, so the other reason I have some of these in here are search algorithms. You know, keywords. And Jim knows this from his days as a recruiter. All these power recruiting tools are looking for words in your headline, in your about section. So what you want to do is, if you're looking for a job, you want to find a job that you really want, like the job description. And you want to look at what words they're using in that job description of that ideal job. Then you want to try to work those words into your about section, into your headline. And what it does is it makes it, if there's recruiters out there looking, you're going to pop up in some of their searches because they're using those same words. So I encourage everyone to do that. But looks like we have a little background. And I'll try to talk over it. Sometimes it could be intimidating on how do you come up with these little clever, strings like what I had here. Not that that's especially clever, but there's a couple tools to help you develop that. So it's almost like a question and answer tool. And we're going to do that, McKenna and I, and it will send you this URL string here in the presentation afterwards. But it's a free service. You just have to give them your email ID. And then basically you fill out, answer some questions, and then it will generate that string that you can then paste into your LinkedIn profile. So I have it up here. So it's kind of like a 9-step quick process. So you start with an adjective to describe yourself. So let's do one for you, McKenna. What adjective do we want to start with here?
Let's do innovative.
Innovative, where's that? Just tell me. Oh, there it is. All right. All right. Add a role or position.
So I'm currently an account manager. So
Account manager. Yep, there it is. Now we can do a bullet type. We can do simple ones or fancy ones or anything in
let's just
between.
do the first one, the simple.
All right.
Full ball, whatever. I don't know what it's called.
A little ball. All right. Now add a core competency, application or methodology.
Let's do client engagement.
Client engagement. There it is. Okay. Now we're going to add a suffix. So this is kind of fun here. An addict, artist, catalyst.
Let's do champion. Third.
Champion. There it is. I see it. All right. And then we add a bullet. We'll do the simple one again.
Yeah, stick with the same one.
All right. And then now we're going to add an extracurricular activity.
I think let's add an other and we'll add branding strategist.
Okay. Oops. The strategist. There we go. All right. And we add a bullet. Almost done on the last one here. And this is like a call to action.
Yeah. Let's do, how about we do an other again and we'll do obsessed with client outcomes.
All right. All right. Now, as you can see, here's our, we just answered those questions. Here's the whole thing right down here. So you can copy it to your clipboard and you can paste it in your LinkedIn. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of brainstorm, come up with that unique headline. So good job there, McKenna.
I recently switched jobs a few months ago and hadn't had a chance to update my LinkedIn headline from the default. So definitely gonna steal.
Okay, good. All right. The next one here, the about section. So again, we talked about writing in the first person. you want to put those keywords in. So that's one of the things that I've really tried to do. Mine's probably a little longer than it needs to be, but I've put in a lot of things like WordPress, Pardot. These are all chosen because of if people are looking for people that have these very specific skills, I'm listing them in here. And same thing up top. So I've worked that in. The other thing that I really encourage you that you never do on a resume is you can talk about yourself. The last paragraph, you can put a personal sentence. So you can say what your hobbies are. You can say how you rejuvenate yourself. So, you know, I said I like music and Spotify, animals, sci-fi movies. So, you know, it's not like I'm writing a Match.com thing, but you can share some things about yourself that someone can read and say, oh, okay, I kind of get this person. I understand what motivates them. And so again, it's an opportunity for you to brand yourself. Okay, so this one I'm going to show on my actual, because I think it's a little easier to see. So there's a part on your profile where you can actually feature things that you've created. And it's a great showcase if you have done something like that. So here's my actual profile. And right below your below, there's this featured section. So you could link to websites. You can load up. So this is a website I made. This is a webinar that I did, a recording. Here's some personal things I did, family holiday video greeting. Here's some collateral and PowerPoint that I made. You can also, if you wrote and published something on LinkedIn, say you wrote an article that demonstrated your original thought on an industry topic, that can be here, because when you publish something on LinkedIn, it kind of fades away over time. You know, it gets buried in your feed. If you put it on featured, a job person who's evaluating you will see, oh, look at, here's something that person wrote or that you wrote, shows that you know what you're talking about. Jody does a really good thing in her, everyone that goes through her curriculum has to make a digital portfolio. It's basically a website with all their creative. You can put links to that as well on here. People that are on air, that put their reels on there. Anything you want to add on this section, McKenna?
No, I think it's just definitely a very useful tool. Anything that you can really add to your profile that'll give potential recruiters or potential job postings that they can see, you know, examples of what you've done. It'll help make you stand out from other candidates.
Yeah, I've even seen people in this section here put a PDF of their actual resume. So if you want to, you know, have that where they can get the whole resume, that's another place you can do that. Let's go back to our tip thing. And I encourage everyone doing LinkedIn posts or articles. So post is a very short thing that you write. So you could forward someone else's content like you do in Facebook and then write your own thoughts, or you could create one from scratch. An article is it's a heftier document with images. It can be longer, but as a professional, I encourage, especially someone just starting out, go ahead and be active and do a post or an article about a topic that you're passionate about in a professional sense. And someone who's checking you out will say, oh, they're interested enough in this field that they've written about it. So it's not easy to do. It takes some time, but I encourage everyone to make that at least one or two things that they have written and posted that they can put on their profile. This is kind of a newer one, and it's kind of exciting. You can actually add voice to your LinkedIn profile, and that's what this little button here is. And I'll show you mine in a second. So some people use it merely to do the correct pronunciation of their name. It's also I've seen other people use it as a way to talk about their brand of who they are. So I'll play mine. Not especially fond of it, but here we go. Hi,
I'm Glenn Moore. Let's make a difference together.
Okay, so and you can hear what I sound like. Again, it's free. It's just something you can turn on, and easy to do. And that's part of that all-star profile, you know, where you're trying to do as many of these things as possible to make your profile look more complete and rich than other people. This is an easy one to do. When you make LinkedIn, it's kind of weird, but LinkedIn makes the URL, it has a bunch of numbers in here. It's not customized to you as a person. And but you have the ability to go in after you've made your profile, and if the name is available, you can take it for yourself. So Glenn Moore was taken. Someone else beat me to it, but Glenn D. Moore, I put my middle initial in there, was available. So again, all you have to do that, at the top of your profile, it says edit public and profile URL right here. And that's where you, you know, kind of can try out different things and see if they're available or not, like right up here. So if I went in and let's just see if Glenn Moore dropped off the face of the earth here. Nope, darn it. So he still got me. So anyway, that's where you change it. But very, and this is what you can put on your resume too. So you want to put at the top of your resume, you know, where you have your phone number. Why not put this right up there too? It's nice, clean URL. Another thing, not that I want to recommend expensive things, but you can make, you could go to GoDaddy and get a full-blown URL with your name. So glenndmoore.com. Costs a little less than $20 a year. You can then point it to here. So even if you don't have your own website, you can point it to your LinkedIn profile. And so if you go, let's just try that. Hopefully I paid my bill. Let's see. My thing's getting hung up here. Still thinking. But anyway, you point it basically in GoDaddy to this your LinkedIn profile URL. That's about $20 a year, but you can get a nice effect by just doing this free one here where it has LinkedIn in the name and it has your name. So I encourage everyone to go and do that step there. Okay, now once you have this nice LinkedIn profile, now's the fun part. Now we're talking about how do you use it to build your career, build your networking, and this is where McKenna has just hit the ball out of the park. So I want to have her share some examples from her personal experience on how she's using LinkedIn to further her career. You're on mute there, McKenna.
Let me share my screen here. Okay. So like Glenn said, it's very important once you, make it that way. Once you build your profile to really utilize it to really help you grow professionally. So just a few things that I personally always do is I attended a conference and I met Andy, and I just sent him a quick message. It took me maybe 2 minutes to write and just said, hey, I really appreciate the insights and advice you gave me last Friday at Pathways to Adland. I actually have a call with Heather this week to talk about the assistant media planner position. Your insights into the job got me excited about the possibility. I'm looking forward to staying connected. And you can see he didn't answer, but when I was on my phone call with Heather, the HR contact I was in with, she mentioned, oh, Andy dropped your name and said that he talked to you at the conference, and he said that you stood out to him and that he thought you'd be a good fit for this position. So even just sending that 2-minute, message, Andy helped me get my first job out of college during my senior year. So it was really easy. It didn't take me a lot of time, and it was just a nice touch that, Andy got a notification on his phone, and maybe that reminded him, oh, I did talk to this girl at this conference. Let me reach out to my HR coworker. So that's one example. I also think it is very important to use when you are looking for a new role. So a couple months ago, I was currently looking for new opportunities. And as I was browsing on LinkedIn, I saw a job listing that I thought was very interesting. And I actually saw I had a connection with someone who worked there. And it was Kara, who I worked with at my first job out of college. And I just took, again, 2 minutes, wrote her a little message. Hey, I hope you've been doing well. It's been a little time since our days at Campbell Ewald. I'm currently looking for some opportunities. Saw that you worked there. Would you be interested in letting me know how you like the company? And then just asked a few questions. And she got back to me with one of the longest messages I've ever gotten on LinkedIn, which really appreciated, and just said, hey, yeah, here's the 411 on the company and the positions. So, she sent me a pretty long message about the company and asked at the end of it, just said, happy to pass along more information or your resume. I would love to let the media team lead know. So then I responded back and asked a few more in detail questions. And again, she got back to me with one of the longest messages I got, just because, she was happy to help. And I eventually, after a few conversations, she sent me her email. I passed my resume along, and now I'm working at Influential. So it, again, took me 2 minutes to start this conversation. And, now I have a new opportunity that maybe I wouldn't have had the opportunity to even get an interview if I didn't talk to Kara and get her insights about the positions and have her help me connect to the HR contact. Now, that's a little bit of the taking side of LinkedIn. I also think it is extremely important to make sure that you give. So I had someone reach out that it's one of my cousin's friends from high school. So not a super close contact, but again, know her name, recognized her name. She messaged me and said that, hey, I saw your post about an associate position at my current company. Very interested and would love to learn more about it. Again, it took me 2 minutes to respond and said, hey, I actually have some free time tomorrow. Let's hop on a quick call so I can help answer any questions you have, and then happy to help you get connected with our hiring manager. So LinkedIn is really about giving and taking. And so I definitely I had someone recommend me to someone. I connected with them, asked them questions. But I also wanted to give back and kind of push forward, because who knows, one day Maggie might be the COO of a company and that I want to work for. And she can be like, oh my gosh, McKenna got me my first job out of college just from a 10-minute phone call. So I really think it's important to give and take. Just have another example of that. So when I was looking for a new opportunity, I saw a job opportunity and I wasn't connected to anyone at the company. So I just browsed on LinkedIn and found someone whose current role was the role that I was looking at. And I just said, hey, Emily, I want to connect with you. I'm looking at this position and read the job description, but I would love to talk to you about the position and the responsibilities. And she just reached out and said, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. There's a lot that goes into the role, too much to type, but let's hop on a quick call. So had a call with her and she described the job opportunity and the roles. Didn't know her before, didn't know her previously, but it took me 2 minutes out of my day to just ask, and it helped me get an interview. So again, that's just part of really connecting. And then the last example I want to show is once you are looking for jobs, or even if you're just active on LinkedIn, you're going to get a lot of messages from recruiters who, they look at your profile and they think you might be a good fit. I always think that it is important to respond back and don't just leave them hanging, because you never know what connections you want in the future. So Aubrey reached out and shared an opportunity, and I already had a job and I wasn't currently looking. So I just, again, took me 2 minutes out of my day to just respond and say, hey, I recently started a new job, but I would love to stay connected for the future. And now we have a good connection, and maybe in 2 years when Aubrey has a job opening, I can message her and be like, hey, Aubrey, so glad we stayed connected. Let's explore this opportunity. Another one with Alun, he messaged me again with an opportunity. And I said, thanks for the connection. I just started a new role, so I'm not currently looking, but I would love to stay connected in the future. And that's just something that adds a personal touch. It just helps them remember you. So in 2 years, they'll be like, oh, McKenna wasn't interested in the position, but she was kind enough and took time out of her day to respond to me and didn't just leave me hanging. So again, connections are super important. Building your profile is super important, but it's really how you utilize LinkedIn that's going to help you go further in your job.
Excellent. Yeah, and just to underscore that giving part, because that's how you get doing this giving. And you can have the ability in LinkedIn to give a number of different ways. One way is to write a recommendation for someone. So again, here's my profile. I've given 122 recommendations. Almost all of them have not been asked for. One of my little playbook is I like to surprise people out of the blue. They didn't ask for a recommendation, but they open up their email and it says, Glenn Moore recommended you. And it's like, oh my goodness, what a nice surprise. It makes their day. They click, add it to my profile, and then it shows up. So I like to do those, not just for people that I work for me. Sometimes they're peers, sometimes they're vendors that have done a good job for me. So you can write a recommendation that goes beyond, kind of those normal definitions. But you want to have that ability to where you're doing lots of recommendations. You can also rank people's skills. So at the bottom of this LinkedIn profile, it has like different skills, and then people will, like, here's 99 on product marketing. So you don't have to write anything, but you again can just say, I'm gonna give a recommendation or a rating for McKenna's marketing skills. She'll get an email that says Glenn Moore has rated you, for your skill. Again, just a nice thing. Does not take a long time to do, but over time, when I'm applying for a job, people are going to look at these different skills and say, oh yeah, he's got a lot of different skills here, and it's not just him bragging about different things. Different people have kind of seconded that. So, but again, I like to do it where, just do it out of the blue, and you'll feel good. Just take every month that's kind of my personal calendar. I'll look at the end of the month and I'll say, did I do any of those this month? And I go, no, I didn't. I got busy. And I go, you know what? I'm just gonna sit down and do a few of them. So I try not to let a month go by. When the calendar flips, I try to do some of these, and I find it really easy to do. You get into a mindset and you do a few of them, and it really makes someone's day. So again, and who knows, that just like McKenna said, that person could be turn around and help you, be in a position to help you, and they'll remember your kindness. Let's see here. I think we touched everything else on here. Yeah, the licenses and certifications, I think Jim talked about that, but it's a good thing to put anything that you have done in terms of, it doesn't have to be a formal certification. If you've taken an interesting class to build a skill, you can put that on here, whereas you wouldn't put that on your resume. So at Lawrence Tech, they give everyone, it's lynda.com, and it's like a, kind of a online kind of courses. You can take those types of courses and add those. So someone can you have your formal ones and your kind of less formal ones, but you should put them on there. And same thing with, as Jim had pointed out, that volunteer experience, very important to list what other types of things that you do in terms of volunteering. And when you get down to your groups and things that you belong to, you can also follow. So you could have influencers that tells, oh, here's who he thinks is interesting and he's following. You have companies, your groups. All this says a little bit about you, in your personal brand. So think carefully about who you put on there, but you should have some things. You should follow some people, companies, groups, schools. Those are all things that, that make you a little bit different. So I could go on and on, but I know we're pressed for time here, so I'll stop before I run out of time here.
Awesome. You're actually 8 minutes early.
Oh, good. Those are words I've never heard before.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
Glenn and McKenna, thank you so much. Your tips are so specific and detailed. And frankly, they take the mystique, the fear out of it, and you both make it seem like it's actually fun. Like you're having fun doing it, you know? It's like grooming. It's just something you do and you're used to it. So thank you so much. Now I would like Jennifer Hamilton to introduce yourself and share your information. Thanks again, Glenn and McKenna.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hamilton for U.S. Medical Management in Troy. We provide comprehensive home-based healthcare services, including primary care, radiology, and lab work in 11 states. And I have spent the majority of my career in the healthcare field, both on the medical and insurance side. I am also the VP of membership for the AWC Detroit chapter, an alumni of the journalism program at Oakland University, and a graduate student in the strategic communication program at Michigan State. And I did see Michigan State up there, so go green, go white. Let's see. In addition, I do provide editorial support at U.S. Medical Management for our senior leadership team, as well as our CEO. I do support internal communications at the corporate office for all divisions across the country. And in my role, I am responsible for making sure that the LinkedIn profiles for a senior leadership team are up to date. Not only does it present them in the best manner, but it's also a reflection on our company. So we want to make sure that the information that is put out there is, of course, approved and again, up to date. We want to make sure that all of our profiles are all stars, if you will. So I am going to go through some of the examples that I go through with that team. So a moment here, let me know if you can see my screen, my favorite words of the day.
Looks good.
Fantastic. All right, so first up is your work experience and education. So always ensure that your latest work experience and education are included on your profile. Avoid outdated information. We had several providers that were still listed for their previous organization. So it looked like they were working in 2 places at once, which wasn't the case. So just reminding them that what is listed as present is in fact the organization that you are working for. Of course, for work experience, providing that short summary, job responsibilities and accomplishments. As it was alluded to before, don't make it an elaboration of your resume. So you can show like increased sales by X, show something that you have contributed to the organization. And this does apply to part-time work as well. There are folks that, you know, do perform in part-time roles. So anything that you are contributing to the workforce should be represented on your LinkedIn profile. Education, of course, starting with college. High school is irrelevant. We do want to show college at the forefront. So listing all educational experiences you've had, including any summer programs. And then another thing that I did highlight here is any published work for work or school. In the case of U.S. Medical Management, we were recently, certified as a great place to work for 2021 to 2022. So the news release is what I have attached to that because my name is attached to that information. So again, it does allow you to spotlight your writing ability and showcase your knowledge. Volunteer organizations and experience. So volunteer experience, even if you weren't paid for that job, be sure to list it. I was an online chair for almost a year at the American Cancer Society. Of course, admissions officers and employers often see volunteer experience as just as valuable as paid work. Organizations list what clubs or school, or sorry, at school or outside of school that you've joined. So this does include professional organizations like the Association for Women in Communication Detroit chapter, of which I have listed here. Skills, awards, and honors. So for skills, at least 5 skills. Of course, more is always better. And then then your connections can endorse you for the things that you're best at. So online marketing, I have been endorsed for that quite often. Social media marketing and corporate communications, which is a role that I have recently stepped into, but it is continuing to grow as folks are aware that I've shifted from external to internal. And then of course, awards and honors. If you want a scholarship or any other form of honor, please be sure to put that under awards and, honors. Recommendations. This has been mentioned several times tonight. Of course, ask your managers, your professors, classmates that you've worked with closely, or even fellow AWC members to write a recommendation. Perfect example, Cindy Orlandi, who is on this call and actually assisted Jody Gaber in organizing this event, actually recommended me this morning, and I returned the favor. This is another reason why the AWC Detroit chapter is such a wonderful organization to be a part, including events like these with fellow AWC members, and you're able to help boost those recommendations. Does, of course, give extra credibility to your strengths and skills. And then engagement and networking. So now that you've created that profile using all the tools that have been presented tonight, don't just leave it out there. Connect with your professional and personal contacts. Tag them in your status updates. Share content often, including industry and more. Of course, the more you post, the more visibility your profile will have with prospective LinkedIn connections. So Christy Kawana-Havener actually is one of our AWC members. And this is an example of something that she shared and said it's a fantastic opportunity, and then use several hashtags. So manufacturing, students, memberships, leaders. Another thing that you may notice next to her name is the she, her. So in this new day and age, not everyone that is female identifies as a she or her. You will find instances where someone uses a different classifier. That is important if you want to be identified in a different way than, again, she or her or he or him. So this is something that Christy has put out there just to remind folks that she does identify as she, her.
Thank you. Okay, so at this moment in time, do you want to unshare it? Are you able to unshare? Oh, okay. So thank you, Jennifer. More info, more wonderful info. And it drives home a lot of the things that other people have been saying in a specific way. At this point, we can open up for 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes, questions and answers. Does anyone have any questions they want to share in the chat, or raise your hand in the gallery view? Does anyone have any questions?
One question for Glenn, the sound bar. Now, is that something for all LinkedIn members, or there's there's more of a paid version? I was looking at that and I didn't see it on mine, but I just have the basic, so I was curious about that.
It's for the basic. You can I can kind of show you. It's in that about section, or in that. I'll have to play around with how I did it, but I did it when I'm a paid, but I did it when I was a free customer too.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we have time. Do you want to click on it? Is it something you could show quickly?
Yeah. And then the other thing.
We have time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me go over to that here. Maybe I'll change it because I get more teasing on that. I did it as an example in my class, and I never went and changed it back or changed it again. So I just clicked here. Here it is. So your audio recording. So I just went, did I go too fast there?
Yeah, do that again.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right. So you go into your profile, and then in the pencil right next to right below your graphic here, that's the one, not up here. That's your graphic, but this pencil mark here, you click it. And then right after you do your name, here's where you can do the additional name, and then right here. So if I deleted this, then I can do a new one. It'll let me do a new one. Oh, and here's where you do your pronouns too. So Jennifer was talking about that.
Glenn, this is Tamila. So I'm driving as you're showing. I don't see it on mine, but I have a basic package. I see you're a LinkedIn Premium user, and maybe that's with the premium package.
Well, let's see, McKenna, are you paid?
I am paid. However, I do know that on some browsers, if the browser is not running the most updated version of LinkedIn, you can add it from your mobile app on the phone. And it just syncs the audio better because it has that internal microphone on the phone.
Yeah, I'll double check that. I might have to Google around, but I'm pretty sure I've seen people with these that have free. So if you go around and it doesn't say paid on it, but I'll double check and circle back with everyone on the webinar, because that is I think very good question. The other thing that when Jennifer pointed out the skills, which I thought was a really good point, you can rearrange your skills how you want them to appear. So if you have like a preference as to which ones you want showing before the fold here, you can kind of go into the pencil and see how you can move these things around.
Nice.
And you can pin these top skills, these 3. So if you say those are the 3. So I love what Jennifer said, getting the skills right, but then you have some control, because someone may rate you on a skill that, thank you very much, but maybe that's not what you want to be known as much for, so you can kind of put the ones that you favor the most. You can't change the numbers on them, but you just can change where they show up on your page. So I thought that was, the skills are a very good one. And same thing, another kind of tip that I didn't get into, when you do the recommendations, you can decide which ones show and which ones don't. So if you say you get one and it's like, well, I don't really want it to show, you can make it not show by clicking this. So you can, just because someone gave it to you doesn't mean you have to show it. And same thing with your givens. So you can say visible to public, or you can say, no, I don't want people to see. Like if one of you go to my profile, you won't see that I've given so many recommendations. See, it says visible only to you on some of these. So I don't know. I've gone back and forth, but I thought, well, I'll just kind of I'll make that where you go to the other person's profile to see it.
Good point.
Yeah, it just gives it, there's a lot of control features on what people are allowed to see and what they're not allowed to see. I mean, Jennifer, do you have any perspective on that in terms of like showing your recommendations or not?
So I can at least elaborate on, like you said, the skill set part. I did have some folks that I worked on a project with that, like you said, were rating me for skills that I didn't want to be at the forefront. So I know that's what obviously happens, is the more people that rate you for that skill, the higher up in the list that it goes. This is what my focus really is and where my strengths really lie. Recommendations, like you just showed, I have had some instances where I didn't want the recommendation to show. And then there were some, it was, all right, I think this is fine, because I am looking for work, and, depending on, or at the time I was looking for work, and I wanted those recommendations to be at the forefront, especially for industries that I was focused in. So I have shifted industries a little bit over the course of my career, but mostly in healthcare. As I shifted back into healthcare, those were the ones that I wanted folks to see.
That's great. Stop share there.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? We have time for another.
I have a question. When you change jobs or have a birthday or something like that, where you get just 30, 40, 50 comments from people. This happened today. One of my, I had a colleague join us at my company, which is SSDM. We're a digital marketing agency in Troy. And somebody who's really well known joined us this week and posted a little video saying how excited he was to join our company. And literally 50 people wrote him and said, oh my God, that's so exciting, this and that. And I noticed that he wrote back to every single person, said, thanks, Tom, I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I know he must have spent 2 hours responding to everybody. And I'm wondering what's the protocol as far as what you guys are concerned? I've also seen it happen where if somebody's birthday is noted in LinkedIn and they get 6 dozen greetings from people, hey, happy birthday. I've seen a lot of people put one notice, say, thanks to everybody who took the time to wish me a happy birthday. I treated myself to a day at the spa and I feel like a new woman and whatever. So how do you guys feel about responding to each and every comment personally versus saying, thanks to everybody who congratulated me on my new job. Stay tuned. I will, keep you all posted.
I know me personally, what I do in that, I will like every single person's thing. So I will not answer them, but I will take the time to click. I liked that you made a comment about that, but I do like to answer if someone leaves something where it looks like there's some feedback needed. I will take that time and write that. McKenna or Jennifer, I'd love to hear how you handle that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it probably doesn't take as long as you think. It could seem very intimidating, but one of the things I love about the LinkedIn mobile app is it actually has prompts for you. So every time you go to reply to someone, it has like 4 different prompts and it's an easy click and it doesn't automatically send it, but it just puts it into the text box. So then you can add that personalization right at the end. And like I said, I think it feels intimidating, but I think with those prompts, it definitely doesn't take as long as you think. And it really does just show them that you care, that you took the time out of your day to answer them. And it could just be, you're watching your TV show at night, spend 10, 15 minutes doing it. It doesn't need to be right away. I don't think that sort of pressure needs to be put on where you could wait a few hours after until you have that time that you can set aside to really just take a few minutes to respond and like the comments.
So that really addresses, Christine had a question about how do you deal with total strangers? And it sounds like you give them the time of day, you acknowledge them, but you just decide to do it quickly or to do a like. Christine, does that answer your question? She had it in the chat.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Laura, did you see any other questions in the chat?
I didn't even see Christine's question in the chat, so
Okay.
I'm not sure why and what.
I don't see it either. Maybe it was just a direct message to you,
Yeah.
Jody.
Oh,
Jody,
that's
was there a
okay.
direct message?
That's correct.
Oh, got it. Does anyone else have any questions? Because we could move forward and have Ronnie Hammond share some info. Does anyone have any other quick questions? Okay, Ronnie, how about you? You want to introduce yourself and share your information?
Oh, sure. Well, on here, it says Tarana Hammond. My nickname is Ronnie, so same person.
Okay.
I am a graduate student in the doctoral program at Walden University, and I'm just going to discuss some of the benefits, and there are many benefits to joining AWC, from career coaching to our featured jobs, to resume and review tips, which would be good if you're thinking about really beefing up your LinkedIn. I think that would be awesome to check out and get tips and critiques on what you're actually putting on your LinkedIn page and just making sure that everything makes sense. And then also we have a blog that allows you to become an active participant, not just a reader. You can actually share some of the things, struggles you're having in your career. And we also have a career insight where, you know, like if you go to LinkedIn and you're looking at McKenna's page or you're looking at Jennifer's page, and you're like, I don't really know what this title means. You can go into our career insight portal when you're a member, and you can type in that actual title and get the basics of what that job description is and what industries you may find that position in and wages and such, other things that are important to you. One of the things that I know that I've loved being a member is the professional development. So things like tonight, where you get to learn different things from experts like McKenna, like Glenn, Jim, and Jennifer, teaching us about LinkedIn and how to curate our LinkedIn profiles. And I learned so much tonight. I really, if I told you what my LinkedIn looked like, you would say, oh my God, when was the last time you've been on LinkedIn? But I'm really glad you all shared so much information with me, and I will definitely take that and run with it. And that's it. And that's one of the reasons why I think everybody should join AWC.
Thank you. Wonderful information. Thanks. And now, Cindy, did you want to share information about AWC Student Committee? And introduce yourself. Right now, you're on mute. Oh, so Cindy, can you unmute?
Okay, sorry about that.
Awesome.
Okay, and I am here. I just was tapping away at my computer at the bottom, and the bar wasn't working for me. But basically, what I want to say is that I am just so appreciative of all of you taking your time this evening for us. I was telling Jody a funny little story. I've always used Facebook more than LinkedIn, really. And I had my security settings so high that I figured out probably nobody could even, see what I was saying to them unless, they were already friends with me. And I thought, well, that's probably not a real smart thing to do if I'm trying to encourage more students to participate in AWC Detroit. So I just made a couple of little tweaks like in the header, and y'all have had such great ideas. But it is funny because I got like the day after I changed the security setting, I'm retired and I'm really not looking for a job now, but I got an invitation to serve on an advisory board for a telehealth company. So that was lots of fun. And it shows that, just listening for a few minutes to you guys makes a difference. So again, I appreciate it so much. I'm going to try and do my share screen now. And, can't do that.
Oh, that works. I think we're seeing your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So again, and let me just move this down. But Ronnie is my co-chair on our student committee. And we are going to have our next monthly meeting on December 2nd. And I would just love to have any of you that are interested in joining us at that meeting. It'll be at 7. I also encourage, I see we have a couple of prospective members that are on the call tonight, and we would love to have you, just come to our professional meetings as well. Join AWC. I put my LinkedIn in the chat, and one of the things that I learned, from our session this evening, and we did a little practice session, was how you could actually change your LinkedIn to something that you could actually remember. And it's funny because with all those numbers and things, half the time I couldn't even remember to tell anybody what it was. But this is me. And I would love the other little thing I did. Oh, I thought I had a picture there. Oh, I'm not signed in. Well, anyway, we'll just have to go back to that. But trust me, that's my site. Something else that I found, and I've got this little hi hello site, which is great. I use it for a couple of different causes that I am involved in. But what I like about it is you can just, it's a quick way that you can send different information. So I've got, some of the same things as far as the, our Twitter account for AWSC, but there's also, just some quick links to the national and to the chapter website. I want to put in a good plug for both the chapter and the national job bank, because you just plug in internships and students, you will see that there are just a ton of them that are available to you. So I encourage you to check these out. The national website, and in addition to the National Job Board, there's just like a lot of great information that until you really snoop around in it, like resume services and things, it's just really worth taking your time to do it. Definitely come and connect with us on LinkedIn as individuals, or definitely, for the chapter website. And we are right at about 8:30. I wanted to just let you know that we are going to stay over a little bit. It has been a weird 2 years, almost 2 years now with COVID. I'm losing my voice. But it is a great group. I originally got involved to help with the literacy program. And I found out, through the member ambassador, it doesn't matter whether you're, a younger student or, a more seasoned professional, we all like to share with each other. I was at Bowling Green when I was an undergraduate, and a lot of people helped me. So I'm really happy to help anybody else if there's something that I can do. And again, I just, Jody for planning this, Lawrence Tech for hosting this, Jim and Glenn and McKenna, and our superstar vice president of membership, Glenna. What am I talking about? Got McKenna and Jennifer together. Anyway, Jennifer.
Cindy, don't worry. I used to go by Jenna when I was younger, so you just blended it together. It's all right.
I think I explained to you offline. I'm having a really hard day, but
no, it's all good. No worries.
Yeah. And then Ronnie. And again, I hope I didn't spell your name wrong there, Ronnie, but it is just, it's a blessing to see what all of you are doing. And it just, right now I can do pretty much what I want to do. Okay. So, I worked 40 plus years and I can do what brings me joy. And what brings me joy right now is seeing things and seeing people succeed. I felt so sad when the Bowling Green chapter was going to go out of, going away. We do have a new member, Kimberly McNeil Vera from Bowling Green, and she just started a new job. I don't think she's on here tonight, but what brings me joy is doing what I can do to make the great groups like AWSC available to not just women, but men. We have male members as well. So again, I'm chatting way too long, but my message is I appreciate all of you, and I hope you will stay for just a second to connect with us and introduce yourself, because we want to hear about you. So Holly and Lisa and
And I'll just say quickly, thank you to everyone. For those of you who have to go, now you can become, as Glenn said, a LinkedIn ninja. So also I'll be supplying a file, I'll give you a link to our recorded presentation for everyone who's here. Okay. And this is officially over, but we're staying here. We'd like to meet with you. And I want to thank our presenters, thank everyone. This is just incredible. You're all so good at it, but you take it for granted. We're not, some of us to different degrees. So thank you for sharing your wisdom. And thanks to AWC, it's a noble deed helping all of you go further and improve your digital brand. Who can't use that, right? So I don't know if you could put on your cameras, those of you who we haven't met yet. If not, we're still happy to answer questions. You can introduce yourself. Holly, did you want to share info? Oh, okay. Bye. She's telling me that she has to run. She's currently a member. And Christine, did you want to share any info? Or tell us about yourself. How about you, Lisa? Did you want to share info about yourself or have any questions?
Yes, I can share about me. So I am not a member, but I am interested in becoming one. And I'm currently a student at Rochester University. I'll be graduating in December. And right now I'm a stay-at-home mom. So the job world is looking pretty scary to me. And I'm not on LinkedIn either. So this has been very helpful to me.
Oh, good. How soon do you think you want to join the job market?
I think probably like by the first of the year, I would say get started as soon as I can.
And do you want to share what are your interests? Where's your passion lie and your skills, either skills that are innate or things that you've been trained to do?
That's a good question. So I think the biggest challenge for me would be finding what career path would suit me. I am passionate about writing. I'm majoring in communications, and I've worked a little bit in marketing. And I kind of just want to see what's out there and see what fits me, because I want to find a company not only that I like, but that works for me as well. I think it has to fit both ways.
Any advice for Lisa of what her next step should be?
I would definitely say, I think your next step should be to create that LinkedIn. There are a ton of remote opportunities, especially as you are a stay-at-home mom now. If you still wanted to have the opportunity to work from home, there are just a ton of opportunities. I know when I was currently looking for new roles, I would say probably 60% of the jobs that I was applying for were remote. So that's also an option if you are interested in looking at that path.
Yeah, definitely. That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And do you think LinkedIn is her ticket? Jim, you're in recruiting. Glenn, you too. Do you think her ticket is to become a ninja on LinkedIn? Because you were saying there's internships and so many jobs available. Do you think that's a good focus for Lisa?
Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it's a great time, Lisa, to be looking. There's good jobs out there. You're entering the at a good time. So, I think you're doing the right thing to just kind of get tips, and even if it's not perfect, just do a basic LinkedIn profile. Start there. I think it won't all happen right away. Just kind of take baby steps and like, don't be afraid to reach out to ask for help. Is what people are generally like, to be asked for help. You don't have to ask for a job. You could say, ask, like what McKenna's example. Hey, can you give me some, I want to know more about this company. There's so many people who will take time to answer that question. And it's kind of thoughtful that you asked their opinion, and you can ask total strangers, and you'll be amazed at how many will answer you if you ask nicely. And one thing leads to the next, like McKenna's example. So don't be afraid that you don't have a lot in place right now with the LinkedIn. It could go very quickly. You just build a basic profile, find some people at some companies that you think are interesting, and shoot them a note and see what happens.
And Glenn's right, the same people who might close up if you say, do you have a position open? They're really open if you say, do you have advice? You know, I've made a decision to move into this area. Do you have advice about careers in this area? That same person is all chatty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because-
absolutely.
Yeah, and don't forget, if they don't have a position, they'll be more inclined to tell you, oh, contact my friend. They might be interviewing. And then now you can say, can I use your name? And they'll say, sure. So now you have that inside link where you can say, so-and-so suggested I contact you. Do you have advice about careers at your company or careers in this area? And it's chatty.
Lisa, the other thing,
Mhm.
sorry, Jody.
Go
The other
ahead.
thing to keep in mind, Lisa, is, what COVID has done is truly opened up the world, where a few years ago, there are positions and companies that would have never considered remote work, or it would have been a difficult conversation. Now that is not the case. There isn't a company out there that at least isn't going to have the conversation about remote work. And again, at least for LTU and our students here, companies that they would have never considered talking to because maybe they're on the West Coast and they don't want to go to California. Now all of a sudden they can do that, most of the work anyway, remotely. Maybe they're going to have to go to California, for an example, once every quarter or something like that. So don't let the location scare you. I would first find out if it is remote, or they would at least consider it being remote.
Okay.
I know that once a month, at least, those of us who are members of AWC, there's an email that comes through that's got like the top 10 position openings. And I will tell you that at least 3 out of the 10 say remote. And so folks that are out there are finding what Jim just said is really important about COVID. Whereas companies that never would have considered looking for someone remote, now they are, and they're finding that 2 things are happening. The flexibility with their remote workers is actually making people more productive, number one. It opens up the field of people that of the candidate pool, because they're no longer relegated to having just somebody who's local who can come in. So the fact that a recruiter or an HR person at the company can broaden their horizon by looking at a bigger opportunity, it's really opened things up. I know folks think that it screwed everything up, and it did screw up a lot of things, but for remote workers, it's been an amazing boon. It really has. And so don't be afraid to get out there and I'll tell you what, right now, my company is going back to work. We are being required to be in the office 2 days a week. After the first of the year, it'll be 3 days a week. But one of our key people had it written into her offer letter that she wanted the opportunity to work remote at any given time. So she's not going to come back in. And she told them, she said, I'm not coming back in. I'm going to continue to work remote. I love it. And I find the flexibility is awesome. And so don't expect me to come back in. And they said, okay, because they really, what she does is super important. And so whatever she wants to do is just fine with us. So don't be afraid to say, and being a single mom, I think that's a
I'm not a single
not
mom.
a single mom,
Just a stay-at-home mom.
mom. I'm sorry. A stay-at-home mom tells people that you are devoted to your family, and it's a big plus.
I'd also share some quick advice. A couple of different things. First of all, don't be afraid to take part-time work because it can lead to more full-time. You might even want part-time. That's always an option. Also, it's like Jim had talked about, it's like a 1-2 punch. We have something called Handshake at our career services in combination with LinkedIn. It's very powerful to do both. Your university probably has a career services, and they can access LinkedIn with you and help you in career services. So you might want to link those. Also, something Glenn had mentioned, and Jim, is when you belong to groups are very loyal and they post things that might not be posted elsewhere. So if there's things that you were saying, I'm not sure where my passion lies, go to groups where something is speaking to you, whether it's writing or creative writing or whatever it is, if it's about entertainment or cooking or childcare, things that interest you, blogging. If you belong to a group, they usually have job boards, or they talk to each other and they share things. Isn't that true? I don't belong to too many, but isn't that true? You guys?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like
Lisa,
you're a member of the club. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep this in mind, Lisa, that not to disparage human resources professionals, but their job is to be the gatekeeper of the company. Okay. So they many times can be a roadblock that can be very difficult to overcome. So try and connect with people that are in positions that you would aspire to be in, or that may be able to open that door to get into a position that you're in. They may know about a position that HR doesn't know about yet, simply because HR can't know every position that's available, especially in larger companies. It's just not humanly possible. So just keep that in mind. Don't get discouraged by HR people.
Okay, good to know.
And that happened
Thank
at
you.
my company. I happened to be sitting in a meeting with my boss, and she was saying how, boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be nice if we could find somebody who was a good writer and and was a good visualist, had to
You're froze, Laura.
who just graduated, and she's an excellent writer, and she also is she knows Canva, and she knows all these different graphics software, and so she wouldn't even have to tap into the creative department. She could write the stuff and visualize the stuff at the same time. And my boss said, "Oh, you mean a unicorn?" And I said, "No, I mean my niece." And she said, "Oh, you're kidding me." She said, "Get her in here." And she just celebrated her 1-year anniversary with us. And she's making great strides and doing wonderful work. But if that was not even a job that was posted, it just happened to come up in conversation, and somebody saying, "Boy, wouldn't it be awesome if we could find such and such a person?" And it materialized, and it happened. And 2 weeks later, she was offered a job. So again, the networking, the word that Jim has been told not to use, the networking, the connecting, you just never know who's going to know who will know who will know who.
Now,
And-
speaking of networking, is your link, and Lisa, do you have a link, Laura, in the chat that Lisa can contact you? Because we should probably wrap it up. I told people that I wouldn't keep them more than 15 minutes extra.
Yep. My LinkedIn is in there, but Lisa, I am a dear friend of Carol Cooper. And
Oh,
I
okay.
know that Carol brought you to us tonight because you attended one of our other programs as well. So you may reach out to me through Carol if you'd like, or through LinkedIn. You can, if you want to find me, you can find me.
Okay.
Lisa,
great, thank you.
Lisa, if you would like to take down my phone number, I'd be more than happy to give you the phone number here in the office if you'd like to do that. And if I can help in any way, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm ready.
248-204-4107.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you to everyone. This is a group of wonderful people making a difference, making the world a better place.
Jody,
Thanks
it's
to
been such a
everyone.
Thank you,
Jody,
everybody.
it's been such a pleasure working with you again. You are a consummate professional. And thank you for keeping us on track, organized and everything. It's been a blessing to have you and Cindy working on this program for us. Thank you so much. Glenn, Jim, delighted to have you with us. It was, and thank you to Jody for putting us all together with the two of you.
And Ronnie, thank you too.
Oh,
Thanks,
and
everybody.
Ronnie, of course, we always, Ronnie's our-
Stay safe, everybody. And I'll send a link to everyone of this recording, okay?
Thank you.
all right. Ciao, y'all.